There are moments in life when a person feels completely invisible. You may be carrying pain in your chest that nobody notices. You smile in front of people while your heart silently breaks inside. You struggle with stress, anxiety, financial pressure, family issues, loneliness, or disappointment. Yet the world continues moving as if your suffering does not exist. Sometimes people are too busy with their own lives to understand your pain. Other times, they simply do not care enough to ask. This feeling of being unseen can become one of the heaviest emotional burdens a believer carries. But in those moments, one truth changes everything. When people ignore your struggles, Allah never does. Allah sees every hidden tear that falls from your eyes late at night. He hears every silent dua you whisper when nobody else is around. Even the pain you cannot explain to another human being is fully understood by Him. Human beings may misunderstand your silence, but Allah understands the language of your heart. Sometimes you cannot even find the words to describe what you are feeling, yet Allah already knows it before you speak. That alone should bring comfort to every believer who feels abandoned by people. Many people spend their lives seeking attention, approval, and emotional support from others. They want someone to notice their sacrifices, appreciate their struggles, or recognize their pain. But the reality of this dunya is that human beings are limited. People forget. People disappoint. People become distracted. The same people who promise to stay forever may disappear when life becomes difficult. This is why relying emotionally on people too much often leads to heartbreak. Allah allows these moments of disappointment to teach us an important lesson. Your ultimate dependence should be on Him, not on creation. The prophets of Allah also experienced loneliness and rejection. Prophet Noah preached for centuries while people mocked him. Prophet Yusuf was betrayed by his own brothers and thrown into a well. Prophet Musa fled in fear and faced enormous hardship. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad, let of thee, experienced rejection from his own people, insults, loss, and emotional pain. Yet despite being abandoned or opposed by people, they were never abandoned by Allah. This teaches us that being ignored by people does not mean you are worthless. In fact, some of Allah's most beloved servants walked through deep loneliness before victory arrived. Sometimes Allah removes certain people from your life so your heart can reconnect with Him. When every door closes, when every person disappoints you, and when nobody seems to understand your pain, your soul slowly learns to turn toward Allah with sincerity. Those late-night duas become more real. Your dependence on Allah becomes stronger. Your worship becomes more sincere because you are no longer worshiping for appearance or praise. Pain has a way of purifying intentions. There are people today silently fighting battles nobody knows about. A person may look fine outwardly while internally collapsing under emotional exhaustion. Someone may be struggling to survive financially while smiling in public. Another person may be carrying trauma, heartbreak, or fear that nobody notices. But Allah notices every struggle. Not a single moment of patience goes unseen by Him. Even when you feel forgotten by the world, Allah is recording your endurance, your tears, your prayers, and your effort. One of the most beautiful aspects of Islam is knowing that Allah is close to the broken-hearted. The dunya often celebrates the loud, successful, wealthy, and popular. But Allah looks at sincerity, humility, and patience. A believer crying alone in tahajjud may be more honored in the sight of Allah than someone admired by millions. This changes the way we measure value. Your worth is not determined by followers, compliments, or public recognition. Your worth is determined by your relationship with Allah. They become emotionally dependent on compliments. They feel broken when ignored. They compare themselves to others and feel empty when they are not recognized. This creates a cycle of emotional instability because people's attention is unreliable. Islam teaches believers to purify intentions. You pray for Allah, not for praise. You help others for Allah, not for recognition. You remain patient for Allah, not for applause. When your intention becomes sincerely connected to Allah, your emotional burden becomes lighter because you are no longer living to satisfy people. There is freedom in sincerity. When you stop chasing validation, you stop fearing people's opinions so much. You stop needing to impress everyone. You stop feeling destroyed by criticism. Your focus shifts toward pleasing Allah, and this brings inner stability. Even if the whole world misunderstands you, Your heart remains calm knowing Allah understands you perfectly. Many righteous people throughout history lived quietly without public praise. Some worshipped Allah in secret. Some gave charity nobody knew about. Some carried immense pain silently while remaining patient. The world may never remember their names, but Allah knows every detail of their sacrifice. And being known by Allah is greater than being known by the world. The believer understands that this dunya is temporary. Fame is temporary. Attention is temporary. Human approval is temporary. But Allah's reward is eternal. Therefore, do not stop doing good simply because nobody notices. Do not quit your journey because people fail to encourage you. Do not abandon your dreams because others doubt you. Continue walking forward with tawakkul. There will be days when nobody claps for you. Nobody checks on you. Nobody understands your exhaustion. But continue anyway. Pray anyway. Try again anyway. Try again anyway. Stay patient anyway. Trust Allah anyway. Because your Lord sees every unseen effort. And He is Arabic Kaf, Arabic Alif, Arabic Dala, Arabic Rat over all things. Allah sees the tears you hide is a reality that brings comfort to every believer carrying silent pain. There are tears people never witness, emotions never spoken aloud, and struggles hidden behind forced smiles. Many people learn to suffer quietly because they feel nobody would truly understand even if they explain their pain. Some cry at night after appearing strong all day. Some sit alone carrying anxiety, heartbreak, fear, or disappointment while the world assumes they are fine. But no matter how invisible your pain feels to people, it is never hidden from Allah. Human beings only see appearances, but Allah sees what is buried deep inside the heart. He knows the thoughts you cannot express. He knows the memories that still hurt you. He knows the disappointments you replay in silence. He knows the loneliness you hide from family and friends. Even when you are unable to explain your emotions to yourself, Allah completely understands them. This is one of the greatest mercies from Allah. You never have to convince Him of your pain because He already knows. Sometimes a believer reaches a point where speaking to people feels exhausting. They are tired of being misunderstood, ignored, or judged. They may smile outwardly while internally asking Allah for help every single day. In those moments, the connection between the servant and Allah becomes deeply personal. A sincere dua made with tears can become more powerful than long speeches made in front of people. Allah listens to the broken heart with a mercy no human being can offer. The Prophet Muhammad taught us that Allah is close to the oppressed, the broken-hearted, and those who call upon Him sincerely. This means your tears are not meaningless. Every tear shed out of fear of Allah, sadness, patience, or sincere repentance carries value in His sight. Sometimes people think crying is weakness, but in Islam, tears can be a sign of sincerity and softness of heart. A heart that still cries to Allah is a heart that still carries faith. Many believers struggle with hidden battles nobody knows about. A person may be struggling with financial pressure while pretending everything is okay. Another may feel emotionally abandoned. Someone else may be fighting temptation, depression, fear of the future, spiritual emptiness. These silent struggles are heavy because they are carried alone. Yet Allah sees every second of that struggle. Not one moment goes unnoticed. One of the reasons Allah allows hidden pain is to strengthen sincerity. When nobody sees your struggle except Allah, your relationship with Him becomes more real. You stop performing for people. Your worship becomes private and genuine. Your dues become more emotional. Your reliance on Allah becomes stronger because you realize human beings cannot fully heal what only Allah understands. Sometimes Allah delays relief, not because He is ignoring you, but because He is preparing you. A believer often thinks immediate comfort is the answer, but Allah sees the bigger picture. Certain hardships soften the heart, increase patience, remove arrogance, and reconnect the servant with their Creator. Some people only discover the sweetness of sincere dua after experiencing deep pain. Others only return fully to Allah after heartbreak or loneliness. Allah also uses pain to remind us that this dunya was never meant to be perfect. If life contained no hardship, many hearts would become attached to this world completely. Trials remind believers that ultimate peace belongs in the Akhirah. They remind us that human beings are weak and temporary, while Allah is eternal and perfect. There are moments when a believer feels emotionally exhausted from pretending to be strong. They continue carrying responsibilities while silently breaking inside. Yet even then, Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. The fact that you are still standing after everything you've endured is itself proof that Allah has been carrying you through difficulties you thought would destroy you. A powerful part of trusting Allah is believing that He sees value in your hidden patience. People may not appreciate your sacrifices. They may never know how hard you tried, how much you endured, or how many tears you cried. But Allah knows, and His knowledge is enough. The believer learns to seek comfort not in being understood by everyone, but in being known by Allah. There is also healing in speaking to Allah honestly. You do not need perfect words. You do not need formal language. Pour your heart out to Him. Tell Him your fears, your pain, your confusion, your hopes, and your exhaustion. Allah never becomes tired of listening to His servants. While people may become impatient with your sadness, Allah invites you to call upon Him again and again. Some tears are tears of regret and repentance. A believer may cry over past sins, mistakes, wasted years, or moments of disobedience. These tears are beloved to Allah because they come from humility and sincerity. Allah's mercy is greater than every sin, and no matter how far a person has fallen, the door of repentance remains open until the final breath. The believer must also remember that hidden tears are not wasted tears. Every painful moment endured with patience carries reward. Every hardship faced while still trusting Allah raises a person's rank. Sometimes the pain you survive today becomes the reason Allah grants you unimaginable mercy tomorrow. Do good even if no one notices is one of the hardest but most beautiful qualities of sincere believers. Human nature often wants appreciation. People naturally like being thanked, praised, and recognized for their efforts. When someone sacrifices, works hard, helps others, or remains patient, they often hope others will notice. But many times in life, your efforts go unseen. You give your best, and nobody appreciates it. You help people, and they forget your kindness. You struggle silently while others overlook your sacrifices. This can make the heart feel tired and unmotivated. However, true sincerity appears when a person continues doing good even without recognition. This is one of the purest forms of worship because it proves your actions are for Allah alone, not for people's applause. Anyone can do good when the world praises them. But continuing to do good while being ignored requires strong faith and sincere intention. A believer understands that human recognition is temporary. Today people praise you. Tomorrow they may criticize you. People's opinions constantly change. If your motivation depends on praise, your consistency will disappear whenever appreciation disappears. But when your motivation is Allah, your efforts remain steady because Allah never fails to reward sincerity. There are many acts of goodness nobody sees. A person may secretly give charity without telling anyone. Someone may wake up for tahajjud while the world sleeps. A believer may resist temptation privately for the sake of Allah. A mother may silently sacrifice her comfort for her children every day. A father may work tirelessly under stress to provide for his family. A person may forgive others despite deep pain. These acts may not receive public attention, but they are extremely valuable in the sight of Allah. One of the dangers of constantly seeking recognition is that it weakens sincerity. When people become addicted to praise, they slowly begin performing for attention instead of for Allah. Then mood becomes controlled by how others respond to them. If appreciated, they continue. If ignored, they quit. But sincere believers continue their good deeds regardless of whether anyone notices because they know Allah sees everything. The Prophet Muhammad later have taught the importance of hidden good deeds. Secret acts of worship protect sincerity because they are done purely for Allah. In a world obsessed with showing everything publicly, hidden goodness has become rare and powerful. Some of the most beloved deeds to Allah are those done quietly without seeking attention. Sometimes Allah intentionally hides your efforts from people to purify your heart. If everyone constantly praised your sacrifices, perhaps pride would enter your heart. So Allah protects your sincerity by keeping your good deeds unnoticed by people, while preserving their reward with Him. This is why believers should never think their efforts are wasted simply because people fail to acknowledge them. A believer must also understand that doing good does not always bring immediate results. You may help someone and receive hurt in return. You may stay loyal while others betray you. You may continue choosing honesty while dishonest people appear successful. But Islam teaches believers to focus on pleasing Allah, not controlling outcomes. Your responsibility is sincerity and effort. The results belong to Allah. There are people who stop doing good because they feel unappreciated. They become bitter after being ignored or hurt. But believers continue anyway because their goal is larger than temporary human reactions. They know that every sincere act is recorded by Allah, even if forgotten by the entire world. One day, on the day of judgment, people may be shocked to discover enormous rewards for deeds nobody knew about. A hidden door, a silent act of patience, a private charity, or a quiet sacrifice may become heavier on the scale than actions publicly praised by thousands. Allah values sincerity far more than visibility. Doing good quietly also protects the heart from arrogance. When nobody notices your effort, you remain humble because you are not constantly receiving praise. This humility strengthens the soul and deepens the connection with Allah. The believer learns that being seen by Allah is enough. There will be moments when you feel emotionally tired from giving without appreciation. In those moments, remind yourself who you are truly working for. If Allah accepts even one sincere deed from you, that alone is greater than all the praise of people combined. Human appreciation fades quickly, but Allah's reward is eternal. Continue praying even if nobody notices your worship. Continue helping others even if they forget your kindness. Continue choosing honesty even when dishonesty appears easier. Continue lowering your gaze, guarding your tongue, and protecting your faith even if nobody praises your efforts. Continue trusting Allah and doing good because sincerity shines brightest when nobody is watching. Silence from people is not silence from Allah, is a reminder every believer desperately needs during difficult moments in life. There are times when you reach out emotionally and receive no response. You expect comfort from people, but instead you are met with distance, coldness, or complete silence. You may feel forgotten by friends, ignored by family, or emotionally abandoned by those you once trusted. In those moments, the heart can become extremely heavy because human silence often feels personal. A person begins questioning their worth, wondering whether anyone truly cares. But while people may go silent, Allah never does. Human beings are limited in understanding, compassion, and attention. Sometimes people do not respond because they are consumed by their own struggles. Sometimes they fail to understand the depth of your pain. Other times they intentionally distance themselves. But Allah is never absent from your suffering. His knowledge surrounds every moment of your life. The silence of people should never make you believe that Allah has abandoned you. One of the greatest tests of faith is remaining connected to Allah when emotional support disappears. It is easy to feel spiritually strong when surrounded by love, encouragement, and companionship. But what about the nights when nobody checks on you? What about the days when your messages go unanswered, your struggles unnoticed, and your heart exhausted from carrying pain silently? Those are the moments when true tawakkul begins to grow. Allah often allows believers to experience human disappointment so they can stop depending completely on creation. If every person fulfilled all your emotional needs perfectly, your heart might become overly attached to people instead of Allah. But human beings are imperfect by nature. They forget, disappoint, change, and sometimes leave. Allah alone remains constant. His mercy does not disappear when you are weak. His attention does not decrease when you fail. His compassion does not fade when others stop caring. A believer must understand that Allah's response does not always come in the way we expect. Sometimes people expect immediate solutions, dramatic signs, or instant relief. But Allah responds in many forms. Sometimes His response comes as inner strength to survive another day. Sometimes it comes as patience during hardship. Sometimes it comes through a closed door protecting you from harm. Other times it comes through a lesson that changes your soul forever. Many people mistake delay for abandonment. They make dua repeatedly but do not see immediate results, so they begin feeling unheard. Shaitan whispers thoughts of hopelessness, making a person believe their prayers no longer matter. But Allah hears every single dua, even those whispered through tears and exhaustion. The believer's responsibility is not to control timing. It is to continue trusting Allah even when answers are delayed. The prophets themselves experienced long periods of waiting and silence. Prophet Yaqub has cried for years over the loss of Yusuf. As Prophet Ayub has endured prolonged illness and hardship with patience. Prophet Yunus has called upon Allah from darkness inside the whale. These stories teach believers that silence and hardship are not signs of Allah's rejection. Sometimes they are stages of preparation, purification, and elevation. There are moments when Allah becomes your only source of comfort because every other source has failed. Those moments are painful, but they are also powerful. A heart that turns sincerely to Allah after being disappointed by people often develops a deeper and more honest relationship with Him. You begin speaking to Allah more openly. Your du'as become more emotional. Your dependence on Him becomes real because you realize no human being can fully carry your pain. The beauty of Islam is that Allah never becomes tired of your prayers. Human beings may become impatient listening to your struggles repeatedly, but Allah invites you to call upon Him constantly. You can cry to Him every night. You can ask Him for help again and again. You can return after every mistake and every breakdown. His mercy remains open. Sometimes Allah answers your pain through subtle forms of mercy you do not immediately recognize. A delayed plan, a protected heart, a lesson learned through hardship or unexpected inner peace can all be responses from Allah. But because people often focus only on what they wanted specifically, they fail to notice what Allah is already giving them. There is also wisdom in emotional loneliness. When people disappear during hardship, Allah reveals who truly deserves closeness in your life. Trials expose reality. They show which relationships were sincere and which were conditional. This painful clarity can protect you from future harm. Allah may remove people from your life not to destroy you, but to redirect your heart toward what is healthier and more sincere. A believer must never allow human silence to weaken their connection with Allah. Continue making du'a even when you feel emotionally empty. Continue praying even when motivation feels low. Continue trusting Allah even when life feels confusing. Faith is not proven only during ease. It shines during moments when everything feels uncertain. The loneliness you feel today may become the reason your relationship with Allah transforms tomorrow. Some people discover the deepest sweetness of worship only after experiencing heartbreak, abandonment, or emotional exhaustion. They begin to understand that Allah's presence is more comforting than people's temporary attention. Silence from people can hurt deeply, but silence from Allah does not exist. Every prayer is heard, every tear is seen, every hardship is known. Every fear hidden inside your chest is understood completely by the one who created your heart. Even when the world feels distant, Allah remains near. Trust Allah when support disappears is one of the hardest lessons a believer learns in life. Human beings naturally seek support, reassurance, and companionship during difficult times. We want people beside us when life becomes painful. We hope family and friends will strengthen us during weakness. But there are moments when support suddenly disappears. The people you expected to stay become distant. The ones you relied upon emotionally may leave, disappoint you, or fail to understand your pain. In those moments, a person feels vulnerable and afraid. This is where true reliance upon Allah begins. Tawakkul is not simply saying, I trust Allah during easy moments. Real tawakkul appears when worldly support fades away and you still believe Allah is enough for you. It means believing that even if every human being walks away, Allah can still guide you, strengthen you, and carry you through hardship. Many people become emotionally dependent on others without realizing it. Their peace depends on certain people staying close. Their confidence depends on being reassured by others. Their motivation depends on external support. But human beings are unstable by nature. Hearts change, circumstances change, relationships change. If your entire emotional stability depends on people, you will constantly live in fear of losing them. A stranger's kindness, an unexpected opportunity, a sudden opening, or peace entering your heart unexpectedly can all be forms of Allah's support. Relief can arrive suddenly after long periods of difficulty. Never think you are alone simply because human support disappeared. Allah is capable of strengthening one heart against impossible odds. He is capable of opening doors nobody expected. He is capable of replacing loss with something far greater. And He's capable of turning your weakest moments into the beginning of your strongest chapter.